What just doesn't make sense about the Harry Potter universe? I know I'm late to the thread, but I've never understood something about the Triwizard Tournament. For the spectators, 2 of the 3 tasks must be super boring. Here, watch these people jump in a lake. Now wait. Now, watch these people disappear into a hedge maze. Now wait. Sounds like fun to me. Hagrid says there wasn't a bad wizard that didn't come out of Slytherin, so didn't anyone think that maybe the problem was that they were putting all the problem children with other problem children and locking them in a dungeon during their formative years? Of fucking course they turned out evil. If your only option for friends are Crabbe and Goyle and Malfoy, and everyone looks at you like you're a criminal, and you live in a dungeon, maybe you'll become a criminal. That none of the kids in Harry's first year knew about the Sorting Hat. Literally not one. Not even Malfoy. Not even Ron, with his 5 brothers going before him as well as his parents. Yet in the end of the last book, Harry is openly discussing the event with his son. At Slughorn's Slug Club meetings, Hermione brings up her father being a dentist, which gets confused stares from the students and Slughorn. Yet, in the Chamber of Secrets a clock in the Weasley house can be seen, each hand with a family member's face, and many indications of where they might be at any given moment. One of those places is dentist. Easy answer, dentists are for poor people. Also, Accio being a 4th year spell. You can tell that this is only because JKR didn't think of it till Gov, because this incredibly simple yet useful spell appears exactly 0 times in previous books. Or just the way magic is introduced into new books as a device to advance the plot, then promptly forgotten about. Also, these plot devices will never be considered for any use other than to advance the plot, no matter how logical and basic. Locking the 3rd floor corridor when anyone that knows a law homeowner can get in. Law student here. Adds criminal intent to the act of proceeding into the corridor, and it secured Fluffy against potential attractive nuisance liability issues. I'm sure the resident Hogwarts lawyer advised it. That Hogwarts was supposedly one of the safest places in the world, and supposedly only for the best of the best. I can assure you, if my kid is at Eton or Phillips Exeter and there's the ghost of Wizard Hitler living in the back of a teacher's head one year, and then kids being petrified and a possessed girl finding a snake dungeon in the girls' bathroom the next, and then a supposed murderer hanging around campus the next year, I'm going to have to evaluate whether or not my kid stays at that school. Dumbledore was a great man. I got massive respect for the dude. But when it comes to his role as a headmaster, I would say he is a pretty incompetent one. He had no control over administration and had no idea what's going on around here. Not to mention his massive bias for Gryffindor. Love potions being legal. Gotta be the biggest bunch of date rapists ever. Where do the pure blood kids go before Hogwarts/secondary school? Do they have a wizarding primary school? Are they homeschooled? They don't go to Muggle schools because they know jack shit about the Muggle world. I need ANSWERS. I always assumed they were just homeschooled. They probably learn basic life skills from their parents and read about magical books. I don't understand why Dumbledore tolerated the way the Dursleys treated Harry so poorly. Even if he didn't want Harry to know that he was a Wizard World rock star, he might have had Hagrid drop by one day when Harry wasn't around to have a word with Vernon. Excuse me, Vernon, is it alright if I pull you aside for a quick chat? How in the hell did Hagrid's dad, a normal human man, have sex with a 25-foot female giant? Hagrid's dad was Tormund's giant's bane. They are able to literally grow bones back from nothing but can't fix Harry's eyesight, so he doesn't need glasses. Seriously, doesn't Hermione get her goofy buck teeth fixed at some point too? Even though her parents are dentists. The way wizards just didn't wear robes in the movies. Edit, I get why after reading some of the comments, but I read the books first and was so disappointed as a child. It's the same reason Peter Jackson cut Tom Bombadil from the Yellow movies. Some things work well in books but don't adapt to film. The Malfoys, purebloods who want nothing to do with the Muggle world and Muggler-borns, are depicted wearing Muggle clothing in the films. kids from across the UK have to get to London to get on the Hogwarts Express, which takes them up to Scotland. Surely a kid from Scotland or even Manchester doesn't have to spend hours getting down to London to then go back up to Scotland. They actually do. The only exception might be someone who is from Hogsmeade, but all other students were to attend Hogwarts by taking the train or not at all. The minister who put it in place was Ottolin Gamble, and I'm somewhat ashamed I know that by memory. They don't listen to any Muggle music. Some of them grew up with Muggles, so they should be into it. Same goes for TV shows. Well, there was Dean Thomas and his weirdly immobile poster of West Ham. Wizards don't understand things like phones, Muggle clothes, or Muggle money. They live in a place where 99% of the population is Muggles. You would think they would pick up some basic understanding. There are Muggle technologies that are actually superior to what the wizards have, like phones or faxes, given the books were written in the 90s. Today, it would be video chat etc. They need to send an owl cross-country while Muggles could just use the phone to get information across faster. Their entire justice system. We think you killed someone, so we're not going to give you a fair trial or undertake in an unbiased collection of information. No, we're going to just let you rot in what equates to Alcatraz in the middle of the damn ocean, guarded by shadow demons that feed on hopes, dreams, human souls, and presumably the occasional puppy. Have fun. Quidditch. Scoring a goal is 10 points. Catching the snitch is 150. There would have to be a massive imbalance in chaser skill level between two teams for the snitch to not decide a game. Yeah, it's basically just two seekers and then a bunch of backup dancers. Why do they use quills and ink when most of the Muggles or half-Muggles, hell even squibs, would know what a pen or pencil is? Why was Dumbledore chess mastering the whole thing? Did Dumbledore specifically set up the whole series of events in a giant decade-long trap? Why did he train Harry as a magical child soldier? Why did he do everything at arm's length? Dumbledore had the magical equivalent of a nuke with the Elder Wand and invisibility cloak. He very well could have beaten every Death Eater individually, picking away at their numbers. The Death Eaters still have families and day jobs and go to the bathroom. They aren't in a huge magical army, so they could face off against a superior opponent. There wasn't a reason to go all cloak and dagger. Dumbledore is hideously powerful, had access to immortality and had 2/3 of the most powerful magical items, and all of the useful ones, from Death himself. Hell, Dumbledore had all three at his disposal. He enchanted the snitch to put the resurrection stone in it, which he could have pulled out at any time, because of flesh memory or some such. He had the invisibility cloak before he gave it to Harry, and he had the Elder Wand since forever. Why Dumley sat on his butt since the 60s instead of taking the fight to the decommissioned Death Eaters astounds me. It's pretty clear he knew that Lucius was a and yet he did jack. What the fuck happened to Dumbledore between 1929 and 1945 to turn him from Jude Law into Michael Gambon? That the most efficient means of communication are sending a letter by owl or flu powder. I like to imagine the wizard version of a cell phone is carrying around a large, portable fireplace on a shoulder strap like the earliest actual cell phones. If you can use portkeys to teleport to anywhere in an instant, what's the point of any other form of transport? Edit. A lot of people have been pointing other better forms of teleporting. My point still stands. Time turners. Everyone acknowledges the massive potential ramifications of using a time turner improperly, to the extent that they're not allowed to be used by anyone. But an exception is made for teenagers, arguably the most irrational users conceivable, with raging hormones and not yet fully developed brains. Probably not a good policy, but it was for a great cause, so a teenage girl could take multiple classes at the same time. Voldemort is a goddamn idiot. If he would drop theatrics and throw a baby against a wall, there wouldn't be any issues for him. Should have yeeted Harry out the window. Why couldn't Harry just edit? People are saying it was a contract, he had no choice but to do it. So here's a new thing that doesn't make sense. Why didn't the government just make up some magical contract that says Voldemort wasn't allowed to be evil? It's not like he has to sign it. Harry didn't submit his own name into the goblet or anything. Wizard crime is solved. How does binge teaching a class even work when it comes to homework? They're consistently having to write essays for him, but ghosts are specifically stated to not be able to interact with physical objects very much, if at all. It's poltergeists that can move shit. So how does Binns collect, much less grade, homework? And given his memory issues when it comes to names, how would he ever manage to assign the correct marks to each student? Wizard history could be awesome if taught by someone even vaguely interesting. He has a TA. J.K. Rowling admits she's bad at math, but like how many people go to Hogwarts? If there are really only 10 students per house per year, that's only 280 people. But she describes hundreds, sometimes thousands of kids. The only compelling argument I can think of is that there was a huge demographic shift after Voldemort was defeated and a lot more people had babies, so the years right after Harry have a lot more students. I honestly think she just hadn't figured out how many students it was. Also, it's wild in the 5th book when Harry clearly has PTSD, but every adult, except maybe Sirius and Molly, is like, let's let his 2 teenage friends take care of him. Now that I'm an adult, Hagrid is my favorite and Dumbledore does not come off looking good. I adore Harry Potter, books and movies, but I would expand your closing remark about Dumbledore to the wizarding population at large. Outside of like 5 people, seemingly every single witch and wizard is an idiot. It's no wonder Harry is a standout when he's one of the few people in the story of average intelligence. Lavender Brown and her crazy race change. We don't talk about that. Why wouldn't they use the Veritaserum on Sirius when he swore that he was innocent? Edit, I really didn't expect this post to teach me this much about Harry Potter, ha ha ha. Plus I realized that the whole case just shows how unreliable the ministry in there was. Unbeatable truth serum exists. Magical justice system, we throw innocent dudes in prison without a trial and let obvious terrorists go free. There is no solution to this. Veritaserum is the most powerful truth potion they have, and it's far from unbeatable. It also only makes people say what they think is true. So if someone's memory was altered, they'd still confess or deny anything they'd been told to believe. That fucking time travel locket. It breaks the entire plot. Agreed. Even if we accept that you can't use them to change the past, think about how many plot points could be resolved just by observing the past. Who opened the Chamber of Secrets? Time Turner. Did Sirius Black really kill all those people? Time Turner. Is Voldemort really back? Time Turner. They teach magic at Hogwarts but not maths, English, languages, IT, or P. IT would be difficult when technology breaks on castle grounds. No excuse for the rest. My 2 biggest issues were: 1, where the hell do all the wizards live and work? They can't all be part of the ministry, teachers or prisoners. 2, do wizards have a cure for cancer or degenerative arthritis or whatever and just don't share it with muggles? BC, that's straight up evil. The wizarding world is full of wonderfully creative words for magic spells. Yet Ron randomly blurts out "eat slugs" and it actually works? Nobody at Hogwarts ever exercises. Hell, their only sport is them sitting practically still, and the Great Hall has unlimited fattening food, but everyone is super skinny. Especially Harry, who grew up underfed, would probably gorge himself and gain at least a few pounds. But no, everyone is super thin. Weren't Crabbe and Goyle described as chubby or at least big in the books? How come a fake eye can see through a cloak that Death couldn't even see through? Books give a possible answer to that. Dumbledore tells Harry that his theory is that the brothers from the story were most likely powerful wizards that created the objects themselves rather than Death being the objects' creators. The story of Death being the objects' creators then sprang up around the objects.